and hopefully all of you are safe, doing well at home. And thanks for joining in. Thanks for having me on this session as well. And thanks to the Dear Azure community for doing these sessions. And they have been doing this since a very long time. And keep on doing the good work as such, right? So today we will be talking about GitHub Actions. And I am recovering from COVID. My voice, I'm totally recovered. My voice is slightly off. So just hang in with me. And let's get started. Okay, now check this out. So today we'll be covering the CI/CD concept as such. So even if you're new to the DevOps platform, even if you're new to GitHub Actions, or even if you're new to the you can say Azure as such, then I think the session will still make sense to you. We will be doing a lot of whiteboard designing. We will understand what is CI, what is CD. We will understand the concept behind DevOps. We will understand what is Azure GitHub Actions and how GitHub Actions are inspired from Azure DevOps itself. And the GitHub Actions are the are most you can say if we look at the trend in the market, GitHub Action might be the one tool or that tool which might be dominating in the market in upcoming years as such. So right now, so I will start from scratch itself. Now, if you already have an idea of what is DevOps and CI/CD itself, then in the starting, maybe the first 20 minutes might be slightly boring for you, but you can ask your questions in the chat window. And this whatever the session which we are doing is also aligned with AZ400. So AZ400 is the Azure certification for DevOps as such, right? So the GitHub action is already a part of it. We have the module as such over there. Now, what I'll do, I'll get started with it. And I think someone is not on mute, right? We can hear the background, so please do check it out. Now, please keep on asking your questions in the chat window. I have the secondary screen open with me as such, where the chat is there. And I'll see if I can take the questions on the way. Otherwise, we'll take the questions in one go at the end of the session, whatever is practical, right? Okay, now check this out. So we have to be able to understand, to be able to see GitHub Action is a very logical DevOps and GitHub Action both are very logical. They are the need of the hour as such. Without them, things will not logically move ahead, or you can say these are the ones where the world has logically moved into it. So that is not something. It's not another tool which we let's say if someone is promoting any tool and it is forcefully coming in the market, it's nothing like that. It's a very logical evolution of technology itself, right? So there is one question in the chat: what is the difference between GitHub and the Azure repo? We'll come to it, right? Just give me sorry, we can just give me 10-15 minutes. We'll come to it. Okay, so for those who are new to the platform itself, now check this out. Now basically what happens, let's say this is the business owner over here. Now and you are the business owner. Let's say today you are the business owner, and this is representing your developers as such. All of the smiley faces are your developers as such. Now here we have the operations team. So operations teams are the ones which are responsible for keeping things running. Whatever is running, they are supposed to keep it running, right? And you will also like to keep things running as such. So the three parties which we have right now will be you, the owner of the business, and this is where you are, and the developers and the operations team. So the developers and the operations team over here. I like a lot of whiteboard designing that, so I'll take some time in this. Now, what happens if you practically think it through from your point of view, right? You are the business owner. From your point of view, the most important thing is you can say your team is also important, everything, your company is important, and so on and so forth. One of the most important thing for any business is the customer, the end customer. So these are your end customers to whom you are trying to create a product for, to whom you are trying to give value to. And if you are able to provide the value to the customer, then the customer will be like a repeating customer and so on and so forth, and you will have a pretty good relationship with the customer and you will get more business and so on and so forth. So this is the most important thing for you, let's say, to provide value to the customer and to keep on providing value to the customer. If you have any existing application, add more functionalities over there, add more features over there. right? Create more things for the customer. Now, so from the point of view of developers, so if I say this is the business owner, I'll just take some time. Let me just write it down. So this is the business owner. We have the developers over here, and this is the operations team. Now, from the point of view of developers, they have to the change the value which needs to be provided to the customer, that has to be developed as such. So that development will be done by these developers. So what do they do? They provide the change, they make the changes, they provide the change, they code it up, and so on and so forth. So they provide the change. Operations teams wants to run things. They do not want change. Why they don't want change? Because in case you push another piece of code in the production, and if that brings down the entire system, then that is something which is not what the operations teams are looking for. They would not like to do that. So if something is running from operations point of view, let it run. Why to make any change over there? Let it be stable, have the same configuration, don't change any configuration, right? All of those things. So keep the light on, keep things running, and so on and so forth. So they don't want change. So this is, let's say, no change. So the business owner also wants to provide the value to the customer. Developers are providing the change, and for operations point of view, we don't want they don't want any change in the system which can bring down the system. So this is where the conflict happens, right? So there is a uh, conflict between the developers and the operation. Such. Is there any question? We can hear the background. Okay, so there is a conflict between the developers and the operations teams as such. So this is where DevOps practices are targeting to resolve this problem over here. Like, we want to unify the development processes, and we want to unify the operations as such. So where is DevOps in this entire diagram? You can say we'll be unifying this. We have to unite them or unify them, and so on and so forth. So unite them, maybe like that. This is where DevOps comes into picture, right? Now, what happens if somebody asks you for the definition of DevOps, right? DevOps basically stands for union of people and processes and products to enable continuous delivery of value to the customer. So now when you talk about value to the customer, very important thing which is there is that earlier what used to happen is we used to gather the requirements of the from the business point of view, and once you have the requirement, you will ask the developer team to start developing those features, uh, and then one day it will be delivered as well, right? So earlier what used to happen is like the time between the requirement gathering, if I say requirement gathering and then the delivery, and let's put another box here, delivery, right? So the time between this was very long, a very big time was there, or there was a long period over here, long time. So the problem with long time is this is something which is not advisable. You also don't want to go for long time. Practically, that's what Microsoft certifications are also now, right? Instead of that 2 years of certification, they have removed it to 1 year, and then they give the deltas over there, right? So just like so you will be, anyone who is certified uh, will be able to be on track with the technical changes. So what these long changes earlier used to do is that because of these long changes, the now when you do the delivery, the requirement has changed, or maybe the customer is not happy, or it's a long time, maybe it's 6 months or maybe 12 months, and so on and so forth. So because of that, the whatever you have done may not be relevant anymore for the customer, so their customers are not happy, and so on and so forth. So this long time is something which we also want to technically eliminate. We don't want long periods as such. Long time is bad over there. So we want to, if I just summarize all of it. So what is the problem statement? The value needs to be provided to the end customer. Long time is bad for the end customer. So we have to provide the value in small incremental way. Small changes should be provided. But when you provide the change, your production environment should not come down, right? You should be, if you release something, if you let's say you deploy something, then it should not bring down your entire configuration. So the operations also needs to keep on running with the constant change which is there, the which is the main conflict as such, which DevOps is trying to solve. So now we have to do this, right? There are a couple of more things which you have to understand when it comes to DevOps from the modern approaches, or as such, or what finally led to DevOps approach. You must be aware of monolithic application, right? Monolithic applications are the ones you have like single executable files are there, and whenever you have to scale, you have to run multiple copies of the same executable. So because of that, you can say if there is any change in one component, imagine, then other components will also get impacted. Secondly, scalability is not based on individual service demand. It is the you have to deploy the entire thing again and again. So monolithic was bad, or you can say was the approach which was earlier there, but today the world is moving towards the microservice approach, where all these services are there. Small services are there where which are independent of each other, which communicate with each other synchronously, asynchronously, and they can scale also whenever required, but the entire system will not come down, and the individual services can be maintained by different teams as such. So microservice is also something which is which the world has moved towards. Second thing which comes to mind is that from the teams compositions as such. Earlier, what we used to have was like we used to have big teams, and the teams were mostly comprising of people who had individual skills as such. Maybe these are the Java experts over here, and then we have and these these red icons are representing uh, the network team over here. So this is the network team. These are Java experts, and so on and so forth. So when you have this type of team which is not having a heterogeneous, you can say, skill level, then also conflict happens because of it. So what happens now today in today's world, we have mixed teams as such, and these teams will be having a combination of various, you can say, professionals from various domains. We have some network admins over here. I think that was the Java team. So this is the Java team over here, and then we have a couple of DevOps engineers as well, and so on and so forth. So teams are also mixed now. Cloud is also very practical. So if I just summarize it, so microservices is one of the thing to go to. Uh, you can say combination of team members and cloud. Now, what cloud does is cloud is pay as you go. The capital expenditure is not there. You are able to have service based model, or you can scale very fast, right? And you will be doing, you can say, operational expenditure. So cloud also practically helps in the entire approach. So if I would just summarize all of it again, we would like to go for microservice approach. We would like to go for, you can say, a team having heterogeneous skill levels. Cloud is very logical. Instead of managing the entire infrastructure yourself, let offload that to one of the clouds. Secondly, long time is very bad. We would like to provide incremental changes to the incremental value to the end customer, but things should keep on running. Operations should keep on going on, and developers also have to keep on providing the changes, right? So if I summarize this, how do you practically do it? So these are all the problem statements. Now, how do you practically do it? This is where CI/CD comes into picture, right? We will create CI and CD pipeline over there, and then we have tools by which we do it. So what is CI and what is CD, right? So there are a lot of things which I have, you can say, I have cut down over here, but we'll stick to, you can say, CI/CD itself. Now check this out. So practically, practically, if I just put some phases over there, so we have to do some planning. Requirements needs to come in. So there will be, we need planning stages, right? We have to develop it. So this is where develop phase is coming as such. And if I create, and we have a lot of developers, so they have to collaborate, right? So we have to have you can say, we need to have Git to collaborate. I'll just correct that. Let me just say collaborate. So this is collaborate. So this is where Git comes into picture, right? Like this, Git. And we'll think about GitHub and all those, Bitbucket and all that in some time. Okay, so we want to plan, developers needs to collaborate. Whatever we have done, we have to deliver it. So deliver it in the sense, we'll understand it, but this is where the delivery comes into picture, and this is where the CI and the CD pipeline will be there, right over here. And then and then you have to operate on top of it. So whatever you have deployed, it will be in production. You have to learn from it, monitor it, and so on and so forth. So this is the small cycle which we want to repeat. So this is the, you can say, a very high level small cycle which we want to repeat very in incremental small manner without having long delays over there. Long delays are not really good. So if I just make some, let's say, I just represent the developers again. So this is your team. See, we have the developers who are working on various different bits and pieces of your service. So these are the developers over here, right? Like this. Now, if you practically think it through, like we have to provide incremental small changes to the end customer, and things should not fail in production also. So now, how do you do that? Whenever, so if the developers are checking in the code after 1 month, then most probably it will you will have some issues when you will do the build, or you will the new code you can say will not be may not be compatible with what was already there in your, you can say, repository. So the delay is not really, you can say, appreciated. So this is the repository, right? Now, these repositories, let's just put repo here like this, right? This repo repo can be basically a Azure repo, or today it will be GitHub, right? We'll practically say it. Now, okay, so these are the developers and these are their laptops. So we want the commits to happen very frequently, let's say overnight, or every once every day, or whatever small changes should be there, but should happen, right? Now so the developers are uh, checking in the code in the repository. So like this. Now this is from where from this exact point is from where the CI/CD pipeline starts. So I will just put continuous integration there. So continuous integration. Not sure, my writing is not coming well today. Okay. Anyway, so this is the CI part. Now, what I want to do, I do not want, you can say, if there are any vulnerabilities, we would like to know the vulnerabilities. If the dependencies which are being used, if they have any, you can say, if they have any literally vulnerability in the dependency, then we would like to know that. We would like to know all the things uh, as soon as possible. There is a concept which you will come across sooner or later called a shift left. Uh, shift left like that. So shift left basically, sorry, just let me quickly check my graphic tablet. Okay, 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 great. So what the meaning of shift left is basically that in your uh, is that if you check, so okay, if you don't do this, then basically what happens, security comes very late during the uh, in a very late phase, maybe in deployment or maybe post deployment, you are putting some firewalls and thinking at that point in time. But if any issue happens, then the impact will also be very big. So instead of thinking about security out a very later phase, we shift left in the CI/CD pipeline and do it in every single phase from the starting itself, right? So if even if there is any issue, you will be able to resolve it with least impact, right? You will not be, you don't have to impact will be less. So when the developers are committing or just checking in the code in the repository, I would like to do things over here, right? This is from where I would start the process. So what happens in the CI pipeline, right? So uh, okay, now okay, so if I just make some points over here, we will check the code, the quality of the code. So let's check the code quality, and we will check the vulnerabilities. Just give me 1 second. Let me quickly plug in my graphic tablet. It's not behaving very normally. So 1 second. It's not letting me write over there. Okay. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So I'll just continue. So, okay. So this is where I want to check the vulnerabilities. Now, when I think about checking the vulnerability, how can I do it? I have to practically deploy it and then I can come to do it. So in every CI/CD pipeline, this same concept will be there. We have agents as such, right? So if you, so imagine this is the agent over here. So what is this agent? It's a Linux machine, right? It can be Linux or any other machine as well, but I'll just make this box and this is one of the virtual machine. If you know what is virtual machine in Azure, this is that, right? Virtual machine is easy to instance in AWS, right? Now, this is the agent. So if you create the CI/CD pipeline in Azure DevOps, then we call it agent, literally agent like that. If today we will call this as runner, in GitHub Actions, we call the agent as runner like this. So what is this runner? What is this agent? Basically, we whatever the to gain confidence in the changes which the developers are providing, we would like to install the dependencies, whatever is mentioned in the agent over there. So if I just put some phases here in the CI pipeline, what happens over here, right? We install dependencies. So install dependency. Okay, let me see if I can write properly over there. Okay. Now, where are you going to install the dependency? Obviously in the agent, right? So in the agent, we will install the dependencies. Now, different package managers might be there. You may go for Maven or maybe it's Python's pip and so on and so forth. Anything. Now, at this point in time, so when this is being done, I also would like to scan for secrets over there. I do not want secrets uh, to be there in anywhere hard coded in the code anywhere, right? We don't want that. So if I just make another box over there, and we'll do the scanning here, right? Scanning is there going on in all the phases. So we have installed dependencies. We have found whether dependencies are having any vulnerabilities and so on and so forth. And once you have done it, you will also do a build after that. So what this build will do is, if any new piece of code is committed, basically would like to see whether it compiles or not, right? Whatever. So this is where the compilation happens. So we want to compile it. So builds or not. If it doesn't builds, we will open the work item and the developer will fix it and so on and so forth, right? All those things will happen. So install dependencies, build it. Once you build it, you definitely would like to test it. So if I just open up the boundary there, one of the next phase will be, let's say, test. So you must have heard about various type of test as such. Unit testing is there, integration testing. So if you can automate all of this, if you can automate the test in the CI pipeline, then that will be something which is very desirable in a sense, right? We will also do it today. We'll see how it can be done. So testing will be there. Now, if something doesn't run over there, then the same concept, like if there is a failure, create the work item and someone assign it to someone and that person will, you can say, resolve it if it doesn't runs over here. Now, okay, so what is the output of the CI pipeline, or what happens in the, or what is the, what is the expected, you can say, outcome over here? Whatever you have developed, which we have built and tested on, we would like to be able to deploy it in future one day. So what we do over here, we create the artifact. So this is where you will hear the word artifact. So artifact like this. Now, what this artifact can be, it can be a Docker image, right? So the whatever you have, it can be one Docker image at itself. It may not be Docker image. It might be just like a zip file. You may want to put that in your repository somewhere. But you would like to have something created as the output of your CI pipeline, which is the small incremental change which we want to deploy for the end customer later on in the cycle over there. So if and definitely when we create this artifact, you have to save it somewhere, right? Now, if I just put one arrow and say this is the Docker image. So this is the Docker image. Just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Let me open it one more time. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so this is the Docker image, right? Or your release, the zip which you have tagged and you have put in your repository. So now when you create this, right, you have to store it somewhere. Some location should be there where we store it. So when you work with the Docker images in Azure Cloud, we have a concept called as registry. And this registry is basically ACR, Azure Container Registry, ACR like that. It's another service in Azure in which is equal to Docker Hub. It stores images over there. So this ACR is that. So all the images are here. Now this is where again more steps comes into picture. So if I'm storing the Docker image over here, right, and this Docker image is having all that's my application, all the dependencies and so on and so forth, and it is having some version. Now at this point in time, I would definitely would like to scan the image also for dependency. So we do run security scans here. So security scan. If you are aware of Azure Defender, uh, right? So that Azure Defender will also help us in doing the scans over here or keeping an eye on the ACR. So scan the Docker image. Now, once we have done that, the next thing which comes into mind, let's quickly recap it, right? So let me just go back. Okay, small incremental changes, and I will also just go and have a look at the questions. Just give me, let me just go through the questions once, and then I'll explain the rest of it, right? CI and the CD part after it. I'll just quickly go through the questions. Okay, so I think the only question is a difference between GitHub and Azure repo, right? Okay, uh, that we will further practically see, I think. Okay, then I'll just recap whatever we have done till now. Small incremental changes, big changes are not really good. And whatever we are doing, we would like to do, we want to shift left. We want to find any vulnerabilities as soon as possible. So in CI/CD, in the CI pipeline, what are we going to do? We will be, you can say, running the scans on the quality of the code which is checked in. We will have agents. Agents will be virtual machines which we have to pay for. And in these agents, when the execution will happen in a sense, like installation of the dependencies will happen over there. Then we will do the build operation. Testing will be done on top of it, and then some artifact will be created as part of the output of the CI. Now, and then whatever artifact or output is created, if that is in Docker image, then we will save it in the ACR. If it is not Docker image, if it's the release, you will save it in your repository itself, and you will tag the release. You will say release version this, version that, and so on. So it's a zip file or something, some sort of output compiled zip file might be there. So now once I have the change with me, the next thing which comes to mind is that whether it will be deployed. Like I have created the artifact, but I am not confident right now in this point in time that whether it will be running practically in the production environment or not, right? Maybe it will not run because the amount of testing which you are doing over here, let's say if a lot of load comes, so it worked here, or the amount of testing which you can do in the CI pipeline will not be equivalent to what you can do if you really deploy it. So from here, the next phase starts. So what is the next phase? I'll make one pipe again, and I will just take few seconds to make the pipeline. Okay, so let's make it like this, and let it just go on for now, like this. Okay, so this is where there are two words which I would like to clarify here: continuous delivery and continuous deployment. There are two different things as such. Continuous deployment will have continuous delivery inside it, right? So what is the meaning of it? So I am just putting continuous delivery over here. Continuous delivery. Okay. Now see, continuous delivery means that whatever artifact you have created, is that artifact even uh, production ready or not? That's the practical meaning of continuous delivery. The artifacts which you are creating, the code which you have, is it even production ready or not? How can you do it? How can you know if it is production ready or not? How will you be able to have the confidence that it will be production ready or not? Is by deploying it. Make some environments, deploy it, have a test environment, have a stage environment, right? Deploy it and then do testing on top of it. Then you will have the confidence whether it is ready or not. So I will say that this is the, we will deploy that into this test environment. So, okay, then I'll just make one box and I will say that this is the staging environment over here, like this. So we will deploy to the staging environment like that. And let's make one box here. Now, we will just take it like that. And the creation of the artifact can be the trigger for the next pipeline as well, right? Now, so what do I do over here? Same concepts again comes to mind. Like if we want to deploy this in the testing environment, you need to create the testing environment first. Now that testing environment should be having the same characteristics as your production environment. If you are aware of 12-factor app, there is a concept called as 12-factor app, right? It's a cloud native application architecture, 12-factor app, right? Look up Google for it. Now, basically, what you want is you would like the testing environment to be having the same characteristics as the final production environment. Because if you don't have it, if your test environment is not having the same characteristic as the production environment, then your testing is pointless, right? If you're doing any testing over here, and the environments are totally different, then how do you know it will not fail in production? Because your environments were not even same. So one of the important thing over here which will come is that both the environment should be having the same characteristic. Production may have 100 machine, uh, testing may have 2 machines, but the environment should be similar as such. The characteristic should be similar. The size may be different. Okay, so now I have to create the environment. So here you have to create the environment, or maybe it is already existing. So I will say that you have to build the environment or you use the existing environment, but you need the testing environment. You need some machine where deployment can be done. I'm pretty sure everybody knows infrastructure as code, right? This is where that IAC comes into picture. So what is the good thing about infrastructure as code? You are aware of uh, uh, Azure ARM templates. We have bicep templates. Terraform is there. Now the good thing about infrastructure as code is that I can create these templates, and if I do it properly, they are idempotent as such. Idempotent basically means that if you run it again and again, you will not get the error. If you do it properly, right, then you don't have any. You can say if you don't have any parameters with some unique names and so on and so forth. So you create these. You can manage your infrastructure also as code, and then this infrastructure will also be the template will also be stored inside the same repository on the left hand side. So I want to build it. Once I have built it, I will deploy the artifact over there. So we will deploy the artifact inside the test environment, and then we would like to do some testing on top of it, right? If everything goes fine, right, this is where gates comes into picture. Let's say there is a gate. It may require human approval. It may require someone to approve and so on and so forth. All those things are there in all the CI/CD tools as such. So in the next phase, what happens? We want to uh, deploy this in some staging environment over here. Now, if same thing will happen, right? You may use the existing staging environment, or you have to build a new one. So I may have to build or use the existing one. Second thing is I want to deploy the package over there. So the deployment phase will happen and then some testing on top of it. Now, this is where the continuous delivery pipeline will, you can say, will extend to. What happens if you go further from it, like you really deploy the artifact in production, then we call it continuous deployment. So I will just say that The second arrow which I'm creating now is the continuous deployment. So that is deploy to production. So continuous deployment. So what was continuous delivery? It was to find whether we are even ready for the production or not. Continuous deployment is deploying to the production environment. So then I have to extend the pipeline further into production. Imagine this one. Now what happens over here if I just say production over there, right? uh, this environment exists, right? Most probably you don't have to build it. It's you're not you must be doing it in an incremental manner. It exists, imagine. Then we do the deployment over there. So I'm pretty sure you have heard before that there are various type of deployment strategies are there. uh, we have blue green deployment. We have canary releases are there. Ring releases are there. And if you are aware of Azure Web Apps, we have slots over there like stage slot, production slot. So you can swap these slots. So in place upgrades are possible. So all of those things comes when you do the deployment here. Now, if I just put few words there, so let's say this is where we are going for some deployment strategy to be able to deploy. So this is my blue, green, and so on and so forth. Blue, green, and all that. Right. And then maybe on top of it, I am doing some sort of further smoke test or some sort of test on top of the environment, something like this, to see whether it still is what I'm expecting or not for functionality, security, compliance, and so on and so forth. So uh, th this in a nutshell is the entire CIN CD pipeline. This is what happens in the CIN CD pipeline. The next problem is how do we do it? Like we theoretically made it, but we need to have some tool to be able to do it. So the tool which can do it today is called as GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions can help us in doing what we have in the screen right now. We can deploy, we can do the security, we can test, scan for security vulnerabilities, security related vulnerabilities. We can do the registry operations. We can do the continuous delivery. We can have the continuous deployment. We can create the entire pipeline in that. So I can see there are a lot of questions in the chat. I'll take those questions. Then I'll explain what is GitHub Action, right? Whatever we have done till now, we will just relate it with GitHub Actions, and it should make sense as such just by looking at this diagram. So, okay, so let me scroll up in the questions. I think in the production use case, is it okay, or do we deploy directly post testing phase instead of storing the Docker image in the? I think you got your answer, right? Imran, I think this is what you were asking about. Maybe you asked it before, but you got it right. We don't directly deploy anything. We want to have continuous delivery. You need to have the confidence whether it will be, is it even production ready or not? And then the continuous deployment comes, that is going to the production. So the next question is, the roles and responsibilities of operations team. Operations teams will make sure that whatever is running in the production, they will take care of all the machines, all the like if you think from the point of view of virtual machine, that virtual machine and the code inside the virtual machine, everything is running in production. That's one of the primary, keeping the lights on is the main primary responsibility of the operations team, keeping things running. What is a Docker image? Docker image is a very big thing, but I will just say Docker image is the packaging of the application code and the dependency in one lightweight image, which is platform independent if you have all the dependencies there, and which we can deploy later on. So that encapsulation of code and the dependency is the Docker image. Now, is ACR and agents running on same virtual machine? ACR, no. ACR is a different service. I will just show it to you. Right. Anyways, we have to do it. So ACR is a different service altogether. So how does ACR looks like? I'll just show it to you. Physically have a look at it. Just see it. This is ACR. So ACR is a platform as a service where images are there. How are the images stored over there? Once I do the Docker push, the images will be in the repository section. So I will zoom in first. Sorry. So this is one of the image which we have coupon API over there uh, as such, like this. So it's a service. Agent is literally a virtual machine. The question is, where is the virtual machine? If I take you back, this agent is the one where the CI and the CD steps are executing. We have to pay for it. It needs to be somewhere, correct? So now you can host it in your own Azure subscription, right? So we call it self-hosted. So self-hosted agents can be there, or self-hosted runners are there, or they may be GitHub hosted, or they may be Microsoft hosted or cloud hosted or something in Azure. So like Microsoft is hosting it, so you don't have to make the VM. They are providing you the VM. You just have to pay for it, or otherwise you make your own VM and you install. It's not a very big process. We just have to install the some one package over there, and then it is detected in your DevOps portal, and then you can use the self-hosted agent. Right? It's a very typical on MS Learn. Look up for any documentation around that. Okay, one question is, are dependencies installed in runner? Yes. How will I build my code if I don't install the dependencies over here, right? So see, these are dependencies which were defined or have to be installed there. And then my code was built. This is my application was, we can say the build happened successfully or didn't happen successfully. They will be installed. Okay, does the dependency indicate the library used? Yeah, correct. Dependency is indicating the libraries used in your application. Okay, nowadays artifact stores are using JFrog or Artifact Factory instead of GitHub. Are we not using GitHub repository to store artifact? Does those artifact actions in this feature? Does GitHub action is having features to store artifact? Okay. If the artifact is having, I will explain what is GitHub action. Then I think that half of the question will automatically get answered. But let's just see what I just showed you. What is ACR? ACR is the repository for storing the images. If my artifact is finally one image, then I will store it here. If my artifact is a zip file, it is having all the is one zip file. I can push this in. I can have this in my repository itself. I can just put that zip file in the repository itself. I can say this is my new release created. So registry will be required, maybe ACR or some other company's registry, but you need some registry to store the images somewhere. Okay, the next question is load testing preview is available. Yeah, correct. I think, okay. Is the stage environment created by us, or is it similar to testing environment? We have to do it. You may have it, you may not have it. So I have put / over there that you may have to build another one, or you may use the existing one, but you need to have it. Okay, now everything will be having same characteristic, right? The environment should be having the same characteristics. What is the meaning of gates? Okay, so gates, for example, let's say the after continuous delivery over here, you are the let's say that's where you are, right? So I am and I so okay, I'm the DevOps engineer. So basically, before the continuous deployment can happen, most of the companies have the human check over there, like the email will go to you. And all the tools will provide some way to integrate that in a very smooth manner. So the email will go to you. You will say that, okay, I approve this. And once you have approved it, the trigger will happen and it will deploy in production. So that gate which we have for human check, where email is being sent to you, that is one example of gate. And if you approve it, it deploys. Okay, now I just want to quickly map whatever we have done with GitHub action, right? So notice this. So I need runner. I have CI phases. I have CD phases. Testing can be done. And if you are managing any secret, then we have a concept of keyvault. You may have to get the information from keyvault and so on and so forth. So keeping in mind whatever we have discussed till now, right? Now I have to do it literally in the end of the day. So what happens in GitHub action? So how do I make CI/CD pipeline with GitHub action? CI/CD with GitHub actions. GitHub actions are very straightforward, right? I will just show the code to you. but let's make some box first. So we have a concept called as workflow in GitHub Actions. So, okay, right. So let's say this is the workflow. Workflow. What this workflow is doing is it is doing the build, the build CI pipeline workflow. This is a CI pipeline workflow right now. Now, and you have the testing also here. So you are doing the build and the testing in this workflow over there. Now, this workflow will be triggered in by somehow it has to be triggered, right? So for it to start running. So there, so let me say that there is any event based on which it got triggered. Now this event can be the commit, literally the commit itself. It can be the pull request. It can be any push request, can be any event which happened in your repository. Some event happened. The developer has committed to the feature branch over there. Now, because of that event, this workflow will be triggered. Now, the workflow can also be scheduled if you don't have the trigger mechanism. You don't want it to be auto triggered and so on and so forth. So I can say that we have triggers over here. Hundreds of triggers might be there. GitHub Action has a lot of triggers. It's a very long page where they have mentioned it. Just look up Google for it. Now it can be scheduled also. So I will just say scheduled, and you may manually also trigger it. So manual triggers might be there. So the event basically triggers the workflow, right? Now, when the workflow will get triggered, inside the workflow, you will have jobs. You may have one or more jobs over there. So this is one job. So this is representing one job. So let's say some job one is there. So job one will be like a stage, like a phase as such. So I will show you what is job in my example, right? I will just see it. We'll practically relate it with this diagram. So I have, let's say, multiple jobs. So this workflow is having 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, or some practical number of whatever you're doing. So I will see if I can make a straight line or not. There's something happening with my graphic tablet today. It's not making lines. Okay. Anyways, so please just hang in with the bad handwriting today. Okay, so this is my job 2. Now the job basically runs in the runner. So this is where the runner is there. This is a runner, right? So this is also will run in the runner like that. Now what is inside the jobs? Jobs can have steps over there. So we have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and so on and so forth. So I will just make some boxes here, and these boxes are representing my steps. Now, and this job is having 3 steps, or maybe let's make 2 boxes. So 2 steps are there. Now, when you have these steps can be a script. You can literally write one script as such, and that can be the step over there. That script can be CLI, can be PowerShell script, like you have learned last weekend. It was the session was on PowerShell, right? So this is the script over here. Now what GitHub does, it also provides some pre-built functions as such, but we'll call them actions, right? So these actions are the ones which are already created by GitHub or are provided by GitHub, or you have created earlier and now you are using it. So something which is can be done. So, okay, so what can be done again and again? See, to be able to deploy in Azure, you have to log in inside Azure. Otherwise, how will you do a deployment there? So login. Why should you write the PowerShell command to log in every time? They have an inbuilt action. You just use the login action, and it will. And if your credentials are correct, it will log in inside Azure subscription for the deployment, for the CI/CD pipeline to do something over there, to push the Docker image inside repository and so on and so forth. So these actions are already defined. You don't have to write the script for it. So okay, now if I just complete my diagram first, so we will have steps here also. So imagine we are using multiple actions. Somebody got unmuted, it seems. Check that out. We can hear the background noise. Okay. Pramod, if you can mute. Let me see. I'll mute. Okay. Now check this out. So event will trigger the workflow, and the workflow will be having jobs. Now these jobs will be running in runner. Now they can run sequentially or they can run parallelly. The jobs doesn't matter, right? How the jobs are running, sequential or parallel both. But the steps inside the job will run in sequential manner. So this will execute, then this will execute, and so on and so forth, right? And then maybe then if it is not parallel, then this will execute job 2 step 1, job 2 step 2, and so on and so forth. And what type of steps are there? Steps can be having scripts which we have to write, or we can use actions. Actions are inbuilt, or we can create custom actions and then we can use it later on, and so on and so forth. So where are the jobs running? Jobs are running on the runner. Okay, so let's go and see this. I will just try to make sense out of it. Now, how do I need to make this workflow somewhere, right? So in GitHub Actions, the workflow will be residing, will be a YAML file. It will be residing inside a one folder in your GitHub repository, and that folder is basically workflow folder. So workflows folder. So you have to create one directory called as workflows over there, right? So I will start relating it with that. So I'll just take you to my repository. Everything which I am going to show you, I will give you one link. You can do it after this session, right? Okay, so this is one repository where I have where we have cloned one of the forked one of the Microsoft's e-commerce website. This is the e-commerce website of Microsoft. This one. It's an open example. You can check for it. So where are the YAML files where we have to define the workflow? They will be in the workflows directory in your repository. So we literally do it like this. If you put it anywhere else, it's not gonna run, right? So you have to keep it the way it is, GitHub/workflows like that. So if I click on it, I have these one build.yaml. This is the CI, and that's the deploy.yaml. The CD part, CI and the CD part, YAML files are there. If I just show it to you, right? Okay, so have a look at this. Let me zoom in. Okay, so we'll just look at the structure first, right? We will try to understand the structure first, and then as such. Okay, I'll do one thing before I run you through this. Let's open one notepad and I will explain the structure there. So the first thing which we need to define is the name of the workflow as such. So this is the name over here, eShop build as such. That's the name I gave. So you have to define the workflow name. Workflow name, first thing. Second thing is, when should this workflow get triggered? You have to define that. Like, will it be manually triggered, or will it be triggered when push operation happens, or what will trigger that? This is you have to define the event on which it is getting triggered. So here you can see it is getting triggered on push operation, but specific to some path. So if the push happens in this particular directory of the main branch, then only trigger, otherwise don't trigger. So you have the capability of specifying things. So we say on means like then you have to specify. We have various keywords over there, but like what will specify that? What will when will it get triggered? So you have to do that. So let's say push operation, on push operation, do it. Then what's the next thing which we have in workflow? Jobs. So we have to define the jobs there. Okay, now job. So you may have one or more jobs. Jobs will have steps. Jobs can run parallelly or sequentially, but steps inside the job will run in the same sequence as we had in the diagram over there. This will run in the same sequence in the runner, and the across job 1, job 2 can run in any order. It's up to you. Do you want to run them sequentially or parallelly? Okay. Now, if I just open that back, maybe this was the one, right? Next thing which we have is okay. If you have the job, you have to give the job name as well. So my job name is build and push the Docker image. See, This is my CI step. So I will want the artifact to be built, and then I would like to save the artifact in the ACR repository. So next comes the job name. So this is, I'll just put it like this. So we have to give the job names. This is the job name here, this one. Now, once you have the job name, where does it run? You have to specify the runner as such. So you can say that it runs on, and then you have to have the keyword for it. So it is running on Ubuntu latest right now. Now I'm not hosting my own virtual machine. Here it can be your hosted. Right now this machine will be hosted by GitHub itself, and I just have to pay for it, right? Now, the next thing is the jobs are supposed to have steps over there, step 1, step 2, step 3, right? And what is action? Literally, what is the meaning of action? So after we give the, so this is where you define the runner, like what the runner is. Is it a Linux machine and so on and so forth? Then you have to define the these steps over there. You may have many steps. So let's say there is some step 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. So the steps which we have right now is get the code from repository. This is first step. Then the second step which I have is run the unit test on top of it. Third step which we have is build and push the Docker image. Only 3 steps are there, like that. So in the first one, okay. So this is the action. So GitHub already created this action which I am using over here. So I don't have to write custom scripts. I don't have to write some script there. Maybe we have written in the other one. So if we just look up for this, right? How do you find it? So if I can see, if I can go to the correct page. Okay, so okay, let's just go back to GitHub Actions. GitHub Actions, and there's a huge list of actions, and you can further create your custom actions and so on and so forth. So let's see if I am on the right page or no. Okay. So okay, so let's go to the marketplace, and the marketplace we will have an idea of it. We can just type over there and see it. And let me see the link of the marketplace. If I can just click on it. Marketplace, like that. So yeah, seems like this one. Correct. That was the page I was looking for, and I'll just give this in the chat window as well, right? So this is the marketplace. Can you write this workflow in Terraform? No, the GitHub Actions are YAML files. Terraform infrastructure as code can be the Terraform template. This is a YAML based concept. Now, so I can just say Azure on top like that and search for it and see how many Azure actions do we have. Okay, so in Azure, what actions are there? Login actions are there. Web app deployment actions are there. Azure function container actions are there. Registry login. This is something useful for us. Kubernetes context, set context, and so on and so forth. Build actions are there. Scan the images. This is also something useful for us in this point in time today. Right. So all these actions are there, and these are deployed by, you can say, available from Microsoft. You can create your custom actions and you can also work with it and so on and so forth. So if I just open one of them, so we can have a look at it. This is the typical login action. Everybody, you need to log in into Azure, otherwise you cannot deploy anything, right? So what happens in this section is, so what it does is simply like that. See, Azure/login @ version 1. This secret is the secret, like the secret required to login as such. I'll show you where we create it. But this is the example of GitHub action over here, the login action. And similarly, you can go back and you can see that there's a huge list of actions. Okay, I'll take you back. And the next thing, let me see, where were we discussing it out? Okay. So now the okay, steps will be there. So we have we have some files for the unit test purpose, and that particular test is available in this repository, which is the repository which I have right now. sorry, in this directory over here. So that path is defined. And does it require any environment variable? Then you can specify that. Then the build and push Docker image using the Docker build action. If I do this, I should be knowing the name of my ACR. I should be having the authorization to be able to do the operation there, authentication authorization to be able to push it over here in this gray box over there. So for this, we need to have some secrets. So what they have done, there are two ways in which you will do the secret management, right? The two methods. First thing which comes to mind is you may have, I'll just show it to you. So if I zoom out slightly and I click on settings over there, and if I just scroll down to secrets and click on actions over here, so you will notice that I have created some secrets over here. So what is this? So this is the service principal. I have, you can say, deployed the service principal and stored it over there. The IP address of the final website, this IP address is the secret, which is here in this one. This is the login server register. Okay, so if I just show that to you, if I go to my ACR in the resource group and just click on it and just click on it and just say admin, maybe, yeah, access keys, correct. So okay, now this is the registry name. That's the login server name. It's like the FQDN where I have to do the Docker push, and that's the username, and that's the password required. So all of these things are configured inside the secret section over there. I will not be able to show it. GitHub doesn't let you show it. Like even if I print it out, it will not print it. It will put stars over there. So once created, the repository secrets cannot be seen again. You can use it. You cannot see it. How do you use it? I want to use this Azure credential. So if I take you back to my example, which I was showing you earlier, in that CI part, which is open, let me just click back. I'll close the tabs. I'm also getting confused. Okay, see, using this username, which is called as registry underscore username from the secrets. Where are the secrets? These are secrets. I have given the same name. So registry underscore username, right? Like this. Registry underscore password and so on and so forth. So I can refer it like that. I can say secret dot the name of the secret. It's a key value pair. Then the repository, the image name, and put some tag and do the push operation. So this is supposed to happen when I do any change in these path. So let's do it. Let's see if I can show this to you. Just give me 1 second. So let me show that to you, how it will execute and so on and so forth. Right. So I will just, sorry, just 1 second. I'll take the questions in the meantime. I am looking for the for one file in my secondary screen where I noted down some things I needed for showing this to you. And I think I closed the file, so I'm just opening it again in my secondary screen. Okay. Okay, so let's do that. Right now, I will just take the shortcut. Please use VS Code for all the operations. VS Code is amazing. In the previous demo, I actually configured everything. I will just show you what do I mean by the change. So, okay, let's remove that. Okay, now, okay, so what happens? I have done the change as such. Now, if I take you back to the action tab, see, this is where the action tab is there. And if we click on it, you will see that an action has started. See, update, and it is getting deployed. It is getting created. So this is the build.yaml which we created. The purpose of the build is this is the CI pipeline. We should have named it properly, but this is a CI part where the image will get built and will pushed into the repository. So all the steps are executing. See right now. So step one. The step one was over here. Then the testing is going on right now, and then finally the build and the push will happen to the ACR. It may take another 1 minute for it to do it. So in the meantime, it is doing that. I will just walk you through the CD part. So this is where I have done the CD. So this is the deployment part. So name of the workflow, when should it get triggered? When any change happens over here, in which branch, you can specify your branches. What should you do? I want to deploy into Kubernetes. They want the runner to be the Ubuntu latest runner. If you know what is Kubernetes, you know in Kubernetes we have a context concept there. Context is basically if you want to connect to Kubernetes cluster to be able to do something, you need to have the context of it, like it's equal to the keys to be able to, the configuration to be able to connect to it, or the authentication authorization to be able to do that. So I want to get the context, and when you do that, use the Azure credentials, which I have done. I have this resource group with the same name in my Azure subscription right now, eShop Learn RG, and cluster name is literally Kubernetes cluster like that. If I take you back, this is the cluster over here. And this will take around 10 minutes to deploy. I have it running, and we will just use the running one. So get the code from the repository. This is Helm tool installer. Basically, it's a application package manager for for Kubernetes. So we are using that. Then log in into Azure, and once you have done it, you deploy it. Now here I don't have any action for it, so we are running the script as such. So where will this run? Inside the runner, in the console of the runner, this will run as a script as such. Like literally when you type PowerShell or Bash or something, you can relate with that. So this will run inside the console over there. As such, I didn't found any action for it. Maybe it was there. I didn't look for it, and so on and so forth. So if we go back and see whether that action executed or not, what happened? Okay, green tick marks. So the job has executed successfully. The new image will be there in the eShop Learn repository. So this is my artifact. So where is this in the entire diagram which we created? Right, this is this step. The output artifact went into the registry. So this is the coupon API, which we sort of we pushed at 12:10 p.m. 1 minute back, like this, in this manner. Okay, now the second part, I will do the same thing. I will see if I can deploy this. So it is supposed to be, the CD is supposed to execute if there is any push which happens in this location. So we will make a change there. We will find that particular file. Just give me a second. I have the exact path of it. I will zoom out, so at least I can also see what's going in the screen. And this is the path where it is looking for any change. Let's make any change here. Okay, there is a comment which is very logically placed there for all the demos. So I can just show these quickly to you. Okay, so now if I take you back to the actions, the other one should be running right now. And this is the CD part. So what this is doing is there is a microservice which is deployed inside Kubernetes, and that microservice is the one which is running the e-commerce website. This e-commerce website is having coupon functionalities. You can put the coupon discount, and then people can apply that. So there are multiple microservices there, which we can see from here: basket service, catalog service, identity service, payment service, check-in service, and so on and so forth. So the coupon service is getting deployed right now. That microservice is the incremental change which we want to provide to the end customer. Let's say coupon service was not there till this point in time, and now you are deploying it with GitHub Actions. So that is going on, and it is also likely to execute over here. Okay, it already did it. Great. So if anything goes wrong, so if I show you something which went wrong, so if you see 23 days back, when I think first time I ran it, something went wrong. So then you get it like this. You can go and you can find it what went wrong. Okay, unit test went wrong that day. So you will be getting the logs inside the console itself, and you can trace it back. And once you have traced it, you can fix it and so on and so forth. So let's start summarizing things now. So in the and let's open the notepad. So the GitHub action basically will have workflow like CI workflows, CD workflows. The workflows will have jobs, one or more. Jobs will have steps, and steps can be scripts or predefined actions which are there in GitHub or which you create and then you use it like that. They will trigger on some event. This event there is a list of events which are possible, and you will be able to do the entire CI/CD deployments with them. This is the meaning, and this is what GitHub action is, and that's what happens in DevOps. I'll take your questions now. Okay, so can we have triggers or conditions for jobs or steps? Yeah, this is one condition, isn't it? Like you can have some conditional things as well. You can let me know what comes to your mind when you say condition. Yeah, possible. How to order workflow run? The build should be before deployment. Yeah, correct. I think we did it. So you can also do that. You can also say that once the artifact is there inside ACR, then the CD will run. You can also schedule the YAML files in step 1, step 2, step 3. That is possible. It's not yet right now configured. What is the difference between self-hosted and managed instances in agent? Self-hosted agents will be the virtual machines which I will create in my console here. See, I go here, I make a Linux machine. And once I have the Linux machine, I'll get one. You can say I will connect it with GitHub as such. And then this is running in my subscription. And the CI/CD steps are executing in the virtual machines on this machine over here. This is called a self-hosted machine. It can be on-prem also, right? Managed instances are, or we don't, in a sense, what is managed instances? Managed instances are managed by the provider, like uh, GitHub is providing that. So we are not using self-hosted right now. We really have used the managed one. So if I take you back, this is the old error, right? Let's see the new one. So this is the one, and let me show you where we did it. If you remember, I closed the page, so we will go back to the workflows and click on it. That's how you do it. See, that's like this. You define it like that. That's not hosted by me. GitHub is providing these functionalities right now, and I think it's free of cost. Right now, things are running free of cost. There will be some plans over there for enterprises. Please check up on their documentation page, but that that is the GitHub runner. Okay, there is another question. Is the understanding correct using runner enabled ACR to build the pipeline? Using runner enabled ACR. Not sure what you mean by runner enabled ACR. ACR is a different service. Runner is a VM where your steps are running. So I'll show you over here. Okay, so literally what will happen is this CI is executing here, right? And the output, the Docker image, literally is getting pushed like this. See, like that, and it will do a Docker push operation, and it will store the image like that. This is a Docker push. So do let me know what do you mean by ACR enabled runner. Runner is runner. We have actions of Docker push. It will just push that image in the ACR, right? I'm not sure if what is the meaning of ACR enabled runner. Okay, I see that you have given image pull policy always. Should we keep this, or when new image is available? That depends. That depends. I have multiple answers for that. Now, what we do is so for example, if this exam demo was of ML ops, right? Then what we could have done in the CI pipeline, we would have only created the artifact, the image, if your new machine learning model was outperforming the old machine learning model. And we would have understood that from the testing's point of view. So then that new image literally meant an model which is better than the old one, like this. Otherwise, we don't want to create the image. We can just store the model in the machine learning repository. So in scenarios, both will be applicable, that if any new image is there, and because your logic was that the new image is having the model which is better than the old one, then that model, if after the CD part, will be outperforming the old model, right? So both things are there. Can we have conditions for jobs or steps? Do let me know one condition. What comes to your mind? Answer is yeah, conditions are possible, but just let me know what you think about conditions.
Yeah, I have one question
Yes.
with respect to same question what you just mentioned, like can we have condition or for
Hmm.
job or steps? So I will give one example. So what I have in mind. So
Yes.
let's say we are deploying infrastructure as a code on Azure. So one is we are deploying a virtual network with subnet,
Hmm.
and then second step is to deploy a NSG.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, but when I say that I want to deploy a virtual network with subnet, I
Hmm.
also mean that I will associate the
Hmm.
NSG which is supposed to be created. Okay,
Hmm.
so there are two questions to that. One is when you said that when you create a job, it runs all the steps sequentially, one, two, three, four, five, whatever.
Correct. Correct.
But let's say when you deploy such kind of service like NSG or subnet with the
Correct.
condition as I said,
Correct.
so before creating a subnet with an NSG association, I should be
Correct.
able to create an NSG, right? So
Correct.
that's what I mean by the condition, that whenever I try to create a
Correct.
second or try to execute a second step, I should
Correct.
be ensuring that okay, my first step should have been created. Okay,
Correct.
so that is what the condition I am looking for. And the second question is, let's say there are 15 to 20 steps in that particular job. Okay, and I don't want to run all the steps in that particular job. I might want to run eighth step or a 15th step directly. So can I filter and just execute, because it will save time and I don't have to execute everything at one shot. These are the two questions.
Okay. Okay. So okay. Now let's take the first one first. So we what you mean, that is called as depends on. We have keyword which is called as depends on. The same keyword is there in ARM template as well. And the same keyword is there in the GitHub action also. So what depends on means is that if we take that same example of network, if you are making one VM, the VM needs the NIC card to be there. NIC
Correct.
and the IP will be on the NIC card. NIC card
Hmm.
needs the subnet to be there. Subnet needs the network to be there.
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
use the depends on concept. Exact same thing is there here as well. So because one of your step may take more time and
Hmm.
you would like to wait for it. So in this example, I didn't deploy the AKS cluster. AKS cluster would have taken 10 minutes. So I had it already running, but I could have done the infrastructure deployment first, as in the during the CD part, and then I will say it depends on, once the cluster is created, then the next step will execute, which is like deploy the image inside the pod over there.
Okay, so if I am trying to understand what you just said, like you gave the example of a VM, right? And if you take a VM template itself, that is inside that VM template, there is an option called depends on, right? So
Yeah,
you're talking about that. But when I'm talking about steps, step one and
same
step two,
same
and
concept.
this can be two different
Yes,
resource, right?
yes,
At
we have.
that level, can we set depends on saying that okay, before executing fifth step, you ensure that okay, second step was executed, or let's say vice versa.
Yes, we have the concept of depends. We call them dependent job. Depends
Okay,
on is just
dependent.
dependent job, like that. Let me just see
Okay,
if I can show if it is there. If we can have a look at that. It's a very
yeah,
practical thing. You need it. It is there.
yeah.
Uh, yes. So let's say. the how to define the prerequisite of the jobs. So this is the dependent job which you want. I'll give this
Okay,
link.
great. So I'll go through it here. Thanks. And random jobs also we can configure, right? Let's say I don't want to run all the steps in that particular job, so I can simply execute 10th steps in that particular workflow and that particular job.
I need to check on that. I'm not sure if we can skip the you can say uh, if we can skip the, let's say, steps, and in which scenario would you like want to skip,
For
let's say,
example,
steps?
yeah,
Yeah.
for example, there can be one particular YAML with one particular job with, let's say, 50 or 20 steps. Okay. And then you don't want all the steps to run, even though you rerun all the jobs. For example, in the current classic deployment, when you create a lot of tasks, right? So to run the 11th task, you done changes on that particular resource, and you want to run the pipeline. You have to run all the tasks, right, to come to that 11th task. But then I just want to execute that particular task. You need to disable the 1
Hmm.
to 10th task, right? So that's where I'm coming from. So that's how I can save the time and the cost for the runner or the agent. That's what we do in the current
Hmm.
scenario. But with GitHub action and through YAML and this scenario, how can we achieve that? That was the question.
Correct. So I will just ask one. I'll just add one point. So you basically want to, if there is no change, one of the steps should not run again. If there's
Exactly.
no change as such, it will save us the time. So
Exactly.
do we have the caching functionality available for the actions as such? Don't rerun everything. Don't do in complete mode. We call it complete mode or incremental mode, like in a word like that. Caching is there, but
So in
I need
other
to
words,
check for,
yeah,
yeah.
in other words, if there is 10 steps and you
Correct.
only did a change to the 11th or the 10th step and you didn't do any changes to 1 and 1 to 9, you better don't run, right? So that is what I'm coming from.
Correct. See, now I will just want to say that what are these steps? Like we can check whether the caching is there. I'm not sure we can check out in the documentation whether the caching is there. I can see in my secondary screen caching is there. Like
Yeah,
it's
the
literally
example
saying,
I gave about the
yeah,
infrastructure as
correct,
a code, I have application
correct,
gateway, I have firewall, I have this and that,
correct,
which takes time, a
correct,
particular resource to deploy. So I
correct.
don't want to waste time on that.
Correct. So how do we do it is, in when you deploy the ARM template, in ARM template we have two modes over there. One is called as complete mode. Complete mode means in ARM templates an inbuilt functionality. It's like we have the same stage mechanism in Terraform. So complete mode means that it will do it completely. It will redeploy your API gateway and so on. But the second one, okay, there's a lot of echo. I'll just a lot of lag is coming. I will just mute everyone for a second, right? Okay, complete mode in the infrastructure as service means that it will do it from scratch, everything redeployed.
Yeah,
Incremental mode means whatever you
yeah,
have, don't do it, skip it. That's
yeah, I'm
same,
sure.
correct.
Yeah, I got it what you're trying to say, but I'm not coming to that point.
You want the same functionality in this, right?
No,
GitHub
no, no.
Actions.
I'm saying, let's say if there are 7 steps, as I said, like, or gave an example of 10 steps. So I don't even want to run that step if there is no change in that particular steps code. You're getting me? If there are, let's say, PowerShell code, if there are CLI code, if there is actions and all, if there is nothing changed in that steps, so I don't want to touch that particular steps. So running that step, it's consuming time, or the process for the runner, right? So did you get my question?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm getting it. So
yeah. So
we
it's
can
not
check it.
only about the ARM template in complete or sorry, incremental mode. So that is different, and I know about that
Correct,
point. So
correct,
so I just want to skip
correct.
these steps 1, 2, 3, and just execute the fourth step. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, we can check it out whether that caching use the output of the previous one, which was run last time, and don't run it again if that functionality is there. I don't think if it is there. but
Yeah,
I'm
so you can reference that to the existing classic deployment when you have pipeline, and then let's say you have 10 tasks. You
correct.
can actually right click and disable that task, and it will skip that task and it will run the only task which is enabled. That is what I mean, that in this particular scenario, how you can not disable, let it be active, but if there is no change in that particular steps, then it shouldn't run basically.
Okay, we can check it out. If I can find it in the secondary screen, I'll give you the link right away.
That will be great. Yeah, thank
I
you.
I think, sorry to interrupt here. I think he's expecting like a Ansible playbook kind of skipping option, right?
I'm not aware about Ansible, but I would love to know in GitHub Action.
Yeah, the YAML will be say like a skip and run particular job, ignore especially.
Correct. Okay, so we can check on that
Yeah,
whether it
yeah,
has the skip or ignore functionality.
yeah, yeah.
And I
Or sorry to disturb. Maybe when we see the completed deployment, so we will see stages, kind of stages, and then maybe wherever we want, but that particular stage we can deploy. I mean, instead of deploying the previous step, so whichever step we need, we can deploy that step, I guess.
so it is there. Amazing. This is the link. I found it. And we have the functionality in GitHub Action as well. It's a complete package. Skipping the workflow runs. We have skip CLI, skip something, no CI, skip action. These type of keywords are there. You put these keywords and they are getting skipped. Check this.
Great, great. So I'll have a look. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks
Check this,
everyone for the inputs.
right? Okay. So let's take another question. Okay. Uh, I just lost the sequence of it. Let me scroll up and see till which point have we done it. Okay, conditions. We are done with the condition. Yes, we have conditions. Support all the cloud providers. Answer will be yes. GitHub Action supports all the cloud providers or all the major cloud providers, all of them. Please check out the documentation. Azure, AWS, GCP will be there. And can we deploy Docker images as CI/CD server for our DevOps purpose? Can we deploy Docker images as CI/CD server? I think what you mean, you want to use your own some location for storing the Docker image. Do let me know if what you mean. It will be possible. You need to have the action.
Actually, instead of using the virtual machine, I want to run my CI/CD server on the Docker.
So instead of having the runner, you don't want the
Yes,
runner to be
I
there.
want to use. Yeah, I want instead of runner, I want to use Docker.
It is not there. Today it is not possible. It will be a
Okay.
Linux machine only. Maybe in future they will give you a more, you can say, lightweight Docker environment. Today it is a VM, literally a VM.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so can we integrate GitHub Actions with Sonar Cube? Is there any advantage of using GitHub Action over Jenkins? Okay, Sonar Cube integration, it's possible. The second thing is advantages of GitHub Actions over Jenkins. Now, GitHub Action is providing us it's like us. You can say it's a PaaS solution. You can think it like a hybrid between platform as a service and a software as a service. It's a totally cloud hosted concept where uh, the things are happening inside the repository itself based on the events which are there. This is very logical. I don't need another tool maybe to be able to do what this is doing as such. We have integrations with Jenkins. It is possible, but GitHub Action is a very solid thing which is there in the which has come up, and this is inspired from Azure DevOps. So going forward, will Microsoft keep Azure DevOps portal, or will they finally have GitHub Action, or what will happen? We will see in next 2 years. But Microsoft has inspired GitHub Actions from the Azure DevOps only, but it has more functionalities than that. Rest, I'll just leave it to Microsoft, and I'll tell you something after 2 years. Whatever will stay, will stay. Okay, so Okay, I think we got that condition for stops. It's possible. And is it going to replace Azure DevOps? I don't have the answer for that. We will wait for the we'll see in next 2 years. We'll see what happens. But it is literally doing everything as such, but it doesn't have the UI capabilities of Azure DevOps. Like in Azure DevOps, if you open the portal, you can have the UI drag and drop and all that. That is right now not there. Definitely, maybe they are working on it, and so we'll see. I don't have any answer for that, whether it will replace anything or not. Right? Okay. So, okay.
Thank you again for joining this Sunday morning, and thank you, Shivam. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
sir.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Very nice session. Yeah.